So Lori, can you tell me, like, is a leave an absence also be an accommodation? Like, are they one and the same, or can they be both?
They can be both. So obviously, a accommodation can be something like workplace accommodation. Maybe somebody needs more frequent breaks, or a stool, or a rule in the workplace that people can't wear scents. It's really kind of service dogs. It's endless the amount of workplace accommodations. But sometimes, even with workplace accommodations, the employee still might need to take a leave of absence. And there is precedent to say that a leave of absence can be a reasonable accommodation under both the Americans with Disabilities Act and the PWFA, depending on the circumstances. So, you might think, well, how is a leave of absence allowing this employee to do their job? They're not doing their job if they're on a leave of absence. But the idea here is that the leave of absence is going to enable the employee in the future to be able to do their job. So under the ADA, if an employee has a disability that temporarily prevents them from performing their essential job functions, so in the future, they will be able to perform those functions. A leave of absence might be an appropriate accommodation if other accommodations aren't sufficient. So the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which enforces the ADA, has made it clear that unpaid leave, even beyond what the employer normally would offer in terms of PTO, can be a reasonable accommodation if it's going to allow the employee to return to work in the future, and if it doesn't create an undue hardship for the business, which of course is always a question there. And under the PWFA, which covers pregnancy, childbirth, and related medical conditions, leave can also be a reasonable accommodation, particularly when other modifications like schedule changes or light duty work aren't sufficient. So, for example, a condition like pregnancy-related high blood pressure or recovery from childbirth might require temporary time off. But it's important to note that not all leave requests are considered automatically reasonable. And I think employers will find that, good to know, because it can be concerning to know that, maybe there aren't bright line limits on what this leave would mean. And I know that can be difficult for employers. So there's been some back and forth in the courts about what is considered reasonable. And the Seventh Circuit, which includes Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin, the federal court circuit there found that multi-month leave requests may not always be reasonable under the ADA if they effectively take the employee out of the workforce entirely for an extended period of time. But yeah, this decision has led to debate, and it's not followed in all jurisdictions. But it does highlight the fact that courts often look closely at the duration of the leave and the impact on the business. Now, I mentioned the EEOC. It should be noted that the EEOC has not endorsed this decision in the Seventh Circuit. And the EEOC has said that leave as a reasonable accommodation is appropriate when it enables the employee to return to work following a period of leave. But with any accommodation, there has to be that interactive process and a discussion about the length of time, potential alternatives, and undue hardship. And generally speaking, the EEOC doesn't promote the idea of bright line rules or set duration limits. And instead, the key there is having that conversation, engaging in the interactive process to evaluate whether the leave will enable the employee to return to work and whether it will pose an undue hardship for the employer. So it is that concept of that ongoing discussion and no bright line rules.
It's a very gray area still, and it's really a situational conversation with some legal insight added in.
That's
Sounds like
right.
a nice mix.
Talk to your lawyers.